music.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael Dean on the Prince Podcast here at podcastjuice.net. Joining me today is Mr. Chris. Chris, what's your last name?
Horton. H-O-R-T-O-N.
Horton?
Yeah, like the Dr.
Horton.
Seuss book.
So who?
Like
Okay.
Horton, here's a who.
Chris Horton.
I haven't heard that all my life.
Right. Otherwise, a.k.a. this is Mr. Funkatopia himself. I know y'all already familiar with it. You already listened to him. So he is here. We are live here at an undisclosed location in the Minneapolis area.
Area 54.
There you go. We're at the celebration weekend, and we're going to talk about the Target Center Prince on the Big Screen show that we went to. But before we get into that, man, Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to be here with you. I'm having a good time.
Gotta be blessed.
And so, man, I'm gonna give you the honors.
Okay.
You're the guest
Of what?
to go first here, but just give me like your initial sort of thought. I mean, we'll dive deep into this, but what was your thoughts on the show itself?
Talking about celebration or the Target?
The Target.
Specifically the Target show. So I guess there was a lot of unknowns going into this show, and I think that was one of the things that made it interesting, because they said Prince live on the big screen. There's going to be a full band that's going to be in front of the show. It's going to be in front of the screen, and it's going to be, you're going to see Prince on the screen. It's going to be a live band. It's going to be playing there, somehow synchronized, and they left a lot of mystery in it. I don't think it was even until probably a week before the celebration that they even divulged who was actually going to be on the band, as far as like the full lineup. And they still didn't divulge what concert are we seeing here. Right. Is it going to be clips? Is it going to be how are they going to pull this off? How is this going to be done, where there's going to be a live band that's going to be somehow perfectly synchronized with a show? And, they do it all the time with orchestras and stuff, but when a full live band scenario where it's got to be done, one little thing goes wrong, the video gets off pace, right, anything happens, and this whole thing crashes and burns. I mean, it's
just to interrupt you. I'm trying to think. Is there a precedent for something like this? I don't remember ever seeing something where I'm kind of giving it away, but you strip away the music of what and playing new music over it. I don't know if there's.
I mean, I know that there's been things that I guess are really, really similar, but I can't say that I've ever seen anything like this. I mean, like what I was talking about with the orchestras. When they would do it along with, when you have an orchestra in an orchestra pit and they're doing it along with whatever the play is or whatever, but there's still control there. Right. There's still a control where if the conductor can look up on the stage and see that something's messed up, then he can pause the group. I mean, I guess you can do that with a live band too, but there's something
you can't pause Prince.
You can't pause if Prince is on screen dancing. Yeah. I mean, even to dance moves and everything. So, for those of you who don't kind of, from a visual perspective of what's happening here, is they took footage from the musicology tour. It looked like it was two separate shows.
It did, yeah. I think one was maybe the Forum.
Could well been, yeah.
I'm not sure what the other one was.
But so they had two different, it seemed like two different shows. Because one was in a blue suit and one was in the gold sparkly suit that had like a few different variations. But then they had the live band, a full live band with, don't even know where to start with everybody that was on there, between Kip Blacksher and Shelby J, and of course you have the MPG horns, and you have Kirk Johnson, Cassandra, you have Xavier. So you have like all these people that are on the stage playing in perfect synchronization with a live concert video. And I guess nobody knew what to expect. So nobody had any expectations going in as far as, I don't know what we're about to see. And I don't know if that was by design or just because of just bad marketing or how it was. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But there was a mysterious element there that was like, it's Prince live on the big screen with a full live band. You don't know what you're going to see, right, or how they're going to pull this off. but you had to see it. And so then you go in and you see this kind of thing unfold, and it wasn't a short concert.
No.
It was 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. So it was a pretty it was a full blown concert, and it was so well done. I mean, everything from the band on the stage and how they interacted, what was going on the screen. I mean, they could have spent their time turning around, and I think even Shelby had referred to this in the celebration. She said it was very, very tough to perform and not find yourself turning around and looking at the screen like you were interacting with the screen. The whole band performed as if Prince was on the stage, but he was like invisible. Like it was just... So they didn't act like there was a video going on behind them. They were dancing around the stage and did the exact same dance moves that they would have done if they were, a part of that show. I mean, Shelby was actually at that concert, so the elements to the fact that she wore the same exact costume that she wore at the concert was magic. I mean, those little types of details. Yeah. Those little type of details are just fantastic. And I was thinking the whole time we're watching this unfold, I'm watching people around us cry, just break down. And it's just because, let's face it, if you don't have a seat somewhere in the first 20 rows and you do have access to a big screen, that's where you're going to be looking anyways. You're going to be watching that to be able to see the expressions on his face, to see the little, movements and nuances that you're not going to be able to see unless you're close. And so, because of the way that it was played out with the full band and the video, it was like you were there. I mean, it literally was like he was there. Like you expected to look up at the big screen and then look down at the stage and see him there. That was the only part that was missing. So to me, it was just mind-boggling. And of course, I was thinking to myself, they got to take this, worldwide. This can't just be here in Minneapolis. People have got to see this. This is magic. For those people who have not seen Prince in concert, this is about as close as you're gonna get to that's right now. Yeah. It was fantastic. It was just so well done, and I can only imagine that. And I'll let you unveil that secret as far as the option for people to be able to get it into their town. Joel, but I mean, I can only imagine that as it goes worldwide, that maybe there will be more components. Like maybe they do have CeeLo come out and do a piece, of the show, come out and do a little special guest presentation. Maybe they do have Elton John come out if they bring it over to, maybe they do put those elements in there. But I don't know. But even for what it was, without any quote unquote special guests outside of Prince's band, I can see this being just, I mean, it was breathtaking. It was breathtaking.
Okay. Now, I want to dive in some of the things you mentioned.
Okay.
But quickly, I would just say my opinion of this show. I thought it was excellent. I'm like you. I had expectations going on, but it's not because of the way it was presented to me. It's just because they didn't present anything to me other than Prince on the big screen. So I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, maybe they're going to do this or this and that. But what they do is basically put on a concert based off of a previous concert, right? And they do it, I'll say this, on a technical level, flawless. Like, wow, how they did that. The rehearsals must have been crazy. How they chose that footage and just everything worked with it. Technically blown away by that. The actual experience of watching the show, yes, it is as if you are watching a real concert. I was talking to somebody about this at Paisley Park. It actually reminds me of the time where Prince has done this before, not on the technical level, but in terms of you watching him on a screen and you don't bat an eye, like you're not getting a full concert experience. One was, I don't remember which tour it was, if it was Musicology, but it was the one that was live from the Forum opening night of that particular tour, and they broadcast it to the movie theaters around the country. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't remember which one that was.
But that's what it reminded me of.
Right, right.
I remember going to the theater and watching it, and we were in the theater clapping. Obviously, Prince and them can't hear us.
Right, yeah. No.
We're in Seattle, but it was that same type of thing. I was like, he's done this before, where you broadcasting some concert to different places around the world, and you still felt like you were there. Sign of the Times, to some degree, the movie is kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like they're playing to background other concert, but they're acting it out on the stage. You don't feel like you're getting cheated. It feels like you're watching a show. Sometimes you feel like you're there. So for this, that kind of reminded me. I was like, well, Prince has kind of done this before, and it worked then. It works now because, unlike any other artist, he's probably only one or rare cases that you can go pull some 10-year-old program, put them on there, and people are going to go crazy. Like, he can pack a stadium from his old concerts. So I thought that was fantastic. All of the band members, top notch, man. I mean, you really can see how all of the training and rehearsing with Prince pays off. So now that he's not even the teacher, has created these guys to be the masters now, where they are still in tip-top shape, even if he's physically not there. They still can rise to the occasion. Because to me, if you think about it, they had to recreate the music. Like, that's hard to do. Where it doesn't sound like,
not necessarily recreate it, but play it like note for note.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, even drop.
That's a hard thing to do.
But if it's all dropped out, you have a little bit of freedom there, you know. But there's still got to be a click track that's going on in the background that you've got to stay in that.
And you've got to be able to play with his guitar playing and all of that stuff.
That's what kind of freaked me out too. Was it's like you just got to throw a whole entire song, and you manage to stay completely in the zone. From even if it's a 10-minute version of whatever it is, and because you're playing along for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it's time for Prince to do a guitar solo, and somehow his guitar solo and his dance moves and everything else fits exactly with you're still on cue. Now, one thing I did notice, there was a couple moments where they blacked out the screen, so I thought maybe if it's a situation where a tweak needed to happen, maybe they faded out and drew attention to Shelby or drew attention to Kip Blackshear or whoever it was, so that they can kind of resync it to kind of. And it's, for all we know, it could be just like press a button. They could say, "Oh, we're getting a little bit off. We're going to fade out," and then they press a button and it resyncs. Kind of like DJ programs do. You can click on sync and it goes right. So it
quantized the concert.
I don't know. But I do know it was just, God, it's just something, man. It was definitely a spectacle for sure, man.
Yeah, even in the lighting and the whole, I mean, just the stage presentation itself.
And the volume of it too, because that's the other thing too, because you have two different things going on. You have a video going on, you have a live band going on. So these two things have to work in harmony audibly too. So you have a certain volume that's coming from the band, and you have a certain volume that's coming from the video, and so those things gotta be in sync as well. And that's just, man,
the sound was great. It wasn't muddled or anything crazy. You could hear everything clear, in my opinion. What was I gonna say? I wanted to go back to some of the things you mentioned, and you're talking about maybe having special guests and things. And it's interesting that this show, I have no complaints. But I want to get into a conversation sometimes with fans we've been talking about. I'm gonna bring Justin Timberlake up because he sort of had a thing a while ago, right? And he had the picture of Prince going. And I'm wondering, like, do you think this will sort of delve into the same sort of criticism? It may not be the reasons they were criticizing Justin, but in terms of, it's not a hologram, obviously, but it's a video thing of Prince performing, and you have other. I mean, to me, it's almost the same thing on a technical level because
technically, you're right. It is the same thing. Yeah.
It's not some famous people you may know, but it's Prince's band members playing. They're not there with him. But obviously, we accept it in this form. True. But I'm just curious.
I think it's funny that you say that because when they talked about hologram, people were losing their mind. They were like, "No, he said he does not want to be. Don't ever do that to him." And I was like, "Okay, but you're right. This is almost the same exact thing." But here's what I know.
Okay.
Here's what I know is that they just did it in Prince's hometown with. How many people come to the celebration? How many people were at the celebration? I don't know what the number is. Thousands?
Probably a couple thousand.
Couple thousand? With a few thousand rabid Prince fans. Mm-hmm. Rabid Prince fans that would do nothing to make sure that his legacy was completely preserved. Sure. And if you did anything that was not in his well wishes, they're going to let you know. And many of those people were the same people who were screaming and hollering about the hologram. Exactly. And I have not been able to find one single detractor or one single person that was mad about that show. Okay. We got to Celebration. I haven't heard. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative. It's like, oh yeah, but this is the same thing as the hologram. This is that. I haven't heard any. Mm-hmm. You have the people that come to Celebration that are willing to put aside a chunk of their life, days of their lives, and spend hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars to come to Minneapolis to come. These are the hardcore Prince fans that are here at this celebration. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you were able to do this in front of all of them and not have anybody complain, that says a lot about the quality and the outcome of it. I mean, I could have. What ways do you think that it probably could have crashed and burned? And besides, outside of technical glitches.
That's a good question. I didn't really think about that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that. I guess if they didn't, I think this is the thing. If they didn't respect the musicians that were on the stage and felt like, they didn't have nothing to do with Prince or something. But I think each person up there, obviously, some of them were in the video, so they have everything to do with Prince and were respected. I think that's a large part of it to the hardcore fan base. I was going to say back to you that the majority of people in that stadium, though, were not the hardcore fan. You're not going to feel and it's not. I'm not saying this in the wrong way, but most of those people were not at the celebration, right? Because that stadium is huge as hell. So there was a small
tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, and again, it worked. On that level, it worked on a commercial level, so not the niche hardcore Prince fan, but on the broader, we're gonna have a stadium arena show, which Prince always did. I mean, that was an arena show we watched. That wasn't an after show that we watched, right?
For you,
okay.
I know where you're going.
So it works because it plays to, I think, what Prince always played to his larger base was, I'm gonna play to everybody. And I think they appreciate that. And I'll say, too, yesterday I went to Burger King just to get something to eat. And the manager lady was getting off work, and I had, like, my purple something on. And she was like, oh, we started talking, and she's like, oh, yeah, I went over to that show last night. My girlfriend or cousin or something had bought a ticket, so I went with her. So she's indicating that she's not really, like, a hardcore Prince fan or nothing. And she was like, it was amazing. Man, he tore it up. And I was like, yeah, it was good. He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, that Prince is something else, And I let me know that just kind of the average Prince fan, obviously you know who he is. He lives here in the city. Right. She enjoyed the hell out of that, and so I can see how it will play very well. But to kind of going back to our thing is in terms of the hardcore audience, I think why you're not. And again, let me say this: as we're recording this, I haven't been looking online to see what sort of the audience hardcore fan base who weren't at the celebration, what they may have thought of some of the live streams or clips. So I don't know what they're saying, but for the people who are hardcore enough to pay to come here, everyone enjoyed that. And I think the reason why they enjoyed it because they know that it was done in respect. They had no problem with it. And, it was top notch. Mm-hmm. It exceeded the expectations, in my opinion. So I think that was another part of it. Now, I'm going to let you answer the thing, but I will say the only thing I would have improved about it and what I was hoping, I was like, I hope they change up and jump to another time frame or something. Now for me, I'm like,
I think that may have taken it out of the element, though.
And it may have, but I'm just saying as a consumer,
you have to keep. I think the more that you jump tracks and you say, oh, now we're here, now we're going to the 80s. I mean, that may be another phase. That may be another phase that they do 3 years down the road. And now we're going to redo Purple Rain. And now we're going to do, who knows what's coming down the pike. But you don't have that level of quality video wise to show it in an HD scenario, because even their best audio video equipment that they had back there in the 80s was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but see, I wouldn't even. I now see again, maybe because I'm hardcore. I wouldn't have cared about that.
But it takes you out of the element. They want you to believe that you're at the concert.
Yeah,
they want you to believe that you're at the concert, and if they take you out of that element and they remove that from you, then and make it very obvious and drawing attention to the fact that you're watching a video that you can change on a dime, where all of a sudden his hairstyle goes from poof to
I get what you're saying. I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like,
I know, yeah, we'd have been all about it too. Absolutely, yeah.
But it's two different. Again, that's why I say that thing was made to appeal to the broader audience that Prince Arena's tours were great at.
Sure.
And that was a complaint we as fans would always have. Oh, if you go to this type of show, you're gonna hear the hits. That's what he's playing to that bass. Or if you're going to a smaller place, I'm not playing that song. He's playing the rare stuff. So I mean, I'm kind of just voicing that same sort of thing we've always said, and I'm nitpicking to be clear because I enjoyed the show.
Oh yeah,
but you said you wanted to bring up something.
Well, it was two things. The first thing was, I think there's an element of people like the lady you met at Burger King. This was the second question that got added on. I'll try to remember. I'm hoping I don't forget the first question, but this question kind of takes prevalence over this one. There's a lot of people out there who have not seen Prince.
Yes.
Who have never seen him in concert. I don't know how many times you've seen him in concert, but his two final shows in Atlanta were number 26 and number 27 for me.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to be able to see him at 27 times in concert, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. Especially for somebody who never came to Minneapolis to see him. Everything that I've seen was in Atlanta. And that includes after parties too. So I'm including the after party concerts as a separate concert. So, there are people out there that are really, like I had a friend that had bought a ticket to go see the final show in Atlanta. He had tickets to the 10 o'clock show. He had front row balcony to the 10 o'clock show. And it was something going on. I don't remember what was going on. Was it a basketball game or something that it happened? He was like, I'll just catch him next time. And he sold his tickets because at the time, he got bank. I mean, he got bank for that, for front row balcony, the 10 p.m. show, his final show in Atlanta. I mean, you didn't know it was his final show at the time. But in hindsight, after he passed away, even though he had made a good bit of money, and he had never seen Prince before. Okay. So he was, I could see it in him. I could see the just, oh man, dude, I really screwed this up.
There are fans at the celebration who have never seen Prince before.
Yeah. Too, so this was that. So I think this show, this presentation that they're doing, is a perfect scenario for people like that who really, I think it says, all right, you never got a chance to see Prince? Okay, cool. Here's the closest you're going to get, and it's going to blow your mind.
I absolutely agree with you on that aspect.
So there's that. The thing, and maybe it's not necessarily a question, but I guess it is really. Who else do you know of that would be able to sell out a huge auditorium like Target Center? I don't even, the auditorium's not where whatever they call that thing. Arena, whatever. Yeah. Posthumously sell this thing out. Like, I was looking around. I mean, I see acts now. I mean, you can go to a Jay-Z concert, or even a Beyonce concert, or any type of big artist concert right now, and be able to look around and maybe feel like you can sporadically see, some seats here and there and everything. I mean, and just it's just, there was not an empty seat anywhere. Like literally, at one point in time, I was looking around that whole entire arena looking for those empty seats and looking for those, those little hit and miss empty seats. I didn't. It was breathtaking how many people. And the only reason why they didn't even sell that top level was because of the screen issue. They said if we sell tickets up there. Because I asked somebody, well, why weren't those tickets sold? And they said, because you can't, the experience would have been gone. You wouldn't have been able to see the screen.
You mentioned the screen. Did you notice that one screen was just rocking back and
Both of them were. Yeah, I pointed up and I saw there was, they had two screens that were hanging on the side stage, if Mike was referring to. And it it was like somebody had like pushed it.
Yeah.
Because it was hanging from 2 cables, and it was just like swinging, just back and forth.
I kept kind of like, man, I was like, please don't let.
But nobody could have pushed it, and somebody said somebody was there that I can't remember who I was sitting next to. Somebody was at Celebration, and I said, "Do you see that up there?" And he just shook his head like, "Yeah, it's supposed to do that," type of thing. It was like, "Is it supposed to do that? How do you know it's supposed to do that?"
It was. You can tell that.
Why is it supposed to do that?
It would kind of go off frame.
Yeah, it was go off frame. So why would you do that? But maybe it was just an energy thing. They kind of felt like they needed to swing it because nobody from the bottom could reach the screen. It was way too far for anybody to have physically been able to grab it. So it had to be somebody up in the rafters who may have, pulled the cable and maybe swung it. Seems like there's some legalities there.
Yeah, because I was like,
swinging,
man, this would be tragic.
Swinging a 1,000-pound screen and having it swing side to side. But yeah, so there's little weird elements. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So you asked like who else could do? I mean, the only person that I could see
posthumously now.
The only person I could see Michael Jackson. I think. To me, Michael Jackson. I don't even think that's. You're gonna debate me on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna debate you. I'm gonna debate you on that. And here's why I'm gonna debate you on that. Name me, and maybe you could do this, and I'm gonna look like an ass. Name me some members, some of Michael Jackson's band members.
So okay, I'm glad you said that. No, I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and I said the thing about it is. Michael Jackson wasn't about the band members. That's not why we were into Michael.
But that's the component, though.
Sure.
That's the component that makes this thing work.
Finish my argument.
Okay.
So if you were to ask
all right,
the majority of the people who were at that show that we saw, right? If you asked them that same question about the Prince, they wouldn't be able to answer that question for you either.
Right, but you're in the same musical arena as Prince. It's like I could probably tell you band members of Stevie Wonder's band. I could probably
but I'm saying, like that lady I saw at the Burger King. If I was to ask her, and again, I'm saying that because the majority of those people were not hardcore. They would not know who those. They would know Wendy, Lisa. Well, obviously they were not there, so they don't know who those. They don't know Shelby and all those guys.
That's true.
So then my point is to say,
if there's band members that were up there that I didn't know.
And me kind of low-key the same way. But we knew Prince. And I just, to answer your question, I said, I think Michael Jackson, obviously, listen, I'm a Prince guy, but I'm also a Michael dude. Michael does his, they're two different things. Oh, yeah. But I think Michael Jackson would legitimately be able to sell out an arena of concert footage with it. But it's for different reasons. But I guess maybe at the same point, maybe my argument is to say it's for the same exact reasons. Because if you ask the laymen about Prince and who they know as band members, they're always going to go to the Revolution, Purple Rain, because that's what a casual fan knows. They're not going to know the Third Eye Girls and this and that. And so if you ask me about Michael Jackson, I don't know who the band members, aside for Greg Phillinson or whatever his name is. He wrote some of the songs. But I know Michael, and I know if they're going to show the footage of Michael getting down, that's all I'm here for. So that would be my answer to say that's the only person I could see that could do it.
But see, and they've actually gone down the route, like when they did the whole, they already made Michael Jackson into a hologram.
Yes.
So they've kind of already done this. So they've kind of taken it to a different level. I guess I'm just a little bit.
Well, it's the same
maybe
way.
I'm way slighted, obviously, towards Prince. I love Michael Jackson. Sure. I love Michael Jackson, but I get asked this all the time, and I'm always going to be. You're going to ask me to choose one. I'm always going to go.
That's not a problem.
I'm always going to be.
Things,
it's two different things. Because the other thing too that happens with the Prince thing is the volume of music.
For sure.
Not that Michael Jackson doesn't have a pretty sizable library.
Prince is a musician, man.
But when you've got those elements that you can reach into a library and you can pull out If I Was Your Girlfriend, or you can pull out A Ballad of Dorothy Parker, you can pull out Girls and Boys, or you can pull in these tunes that are just like, oh my God, I can't believe they're playing this song. maybe it's just me, but I can't think of any Michael Jackson songs that have not been on the radio where it's like, oh my God, if they'd played that one, that would just been like,
yeah. I mean, well, I agree because they're two. You can't really, you honestly can't compare the two. They're
right, but you don't know what's going to happen at a Prince show. That's
very true.
That's kind of what if they were going to do a Michael Jackson version of it. I think the expectation would be we're going to hear all the hits, and we kind of did a little bit with the Prince side.
Well, that's
things.
what I'm saying.
It kind of did,
but there was some elements in
show, there.
The expectation for the normal non-super hardcore Prince fan is that you go if you don't hear the hits is a problem, and he sort of locks into that. So
right,
we're doing the hits, all the hits this time, you know. Mm-hmm. So again, they both play. They know their marketplace.
Well, it was the musicology tour, so that was the whole point of that.
Welcome
show.
to America.
Right,
same thing.
But that was the whole.
That's the point of it, right?
That's the whole point of it. I'm gonna play you the hits.
But he knows that I can go do these smaller ones and play to my real fans and play the different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, not to compare. Again, we can't compare Michael Jackson. But I would say the thing I'm interested in. So we're taking this thing on the road, right? They announced that the plan is to take this show on the road next year, and they're asking people to email them and let them know what cities. I guess so they can get an idea of where they go with this. To me, that would be the true test of this thing, is to say, yeah, you can do a one-off special event, and they blew it out. I'd be curious to see how it plays as a road show, and how they would market that to people.
I think they would be very cognizant of the venue that it was in, depending on the. But if they market it right, there's just no way that it wouldn't. I mean,
that would be a first, like, to actually
the
have
marketing
the
has to work.
Go on, and it's so funny. Well, not funny. It's funny to me. I have this sci-fi book that I'm writing, and at the very beginning of the book, it is
the what that you're writing?
It's a science fiction.
You're writing a science fiction book?
Yeah. Low key, it came out a few years ago, but I'm redoing it. But at the beginning of the book,
you're writing a science fiction
I'm a
book.
sci-fi dude, man. That's
okay, all right.
Well, we have geeked out. We have
I know, but I just something new. I didn't just.
I'm multifaceted, man.
About you. You're writing a science fiction book, okay?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Truth's Destiny. It's on Amazon. But the beginning,
so it's done and we can buy it on Amazon.
Well, I just said low key. It's already been out a few years, but I'm redoing it. But I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So you could. Some of our listeners, they have.
I'm trying to stop your thought process.
I only talk about
but
myself.
I gotta know more about
this. That's another show. But in the book, at the beginning of it, it takes place slightly in the future.
I'm sorry, writing this down. Truth's Destiny. Is that
what? I should never said this.
I gotta write this down now.
The beginning is there's a concert that's going on, and it's a concert of Prince and Michael Jackson. And what had happened was that both of the estates had sold the rights to their voices to Google in the book, and they had created this song using both of them, and it became this big hit. And then they used hologram technology to actually create a show where they were literally the biggest thing in music, even they both had been passed at this time. But they were the biggest thing in music. And it was just, I used it to say, in a sense, it was so far in the future where, you always have these revival sort of things. But at this point in the future, music was so for shit that you could literally have Prince mania all over again, even if they're not alive. And technology was at the point where they literally had them, 3D dimensional parts of them playing, and they could actually make new music with both of them by mining their vocals from the different albums and shit. And you never know, maybe we may be going that direction at some point. But I was just, it was just funny to me now. It's like, now we're actually talking about having a real life Prince tour.
See,
2 years after he's died, right?
You're ahead of your time. It's here. So. Well, here's the thing I find interesting. I'm not are you a member of any Michael Jackson groups or Michael Jackson? No. So I mean,
I was the guy that had the Michael Jackson Jerry curl.
Now,
and the loafers at school, but that's another story.
So it's been 2 years now, because I can't believe it's been 2 years now since Prince has been gone. And I think that every year that passes, the mania gets stronger and stronger. Okay. And I mean, the celebration is testament to that. True. I mean, I don't know that they do anything that's on this level like for Michael Jackson. I can't think of anything where they have like a big, huge convention. Not that they couldn't,
Right.
but I also think that there's not a centralized location for Michael like there is with Paisley Park with Prince. You know, where you can say, we're all going here to his house.
Mm-hmm.
But I just see the trajectory of the notoriety and I just don't see Prince mania dying like ever. It just seems like every single day that passes there's something else that endears you to him even more and that continues on the legacy even more, not to even mention that you have these hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of songs that are buried in there. Right. You mentioned Prince and Michael Jackson working together. They have worked together. Supposedly there's some songs that are sitting in the vault that the two of them have worked on together. And I was like, really? When did this happen? Right. You know, there's supposed to be some songs that him and Kendrick Lamar worked on together when Kendrick was at the thing. I was like, well, what? Really? I thought he was just there, and that whole thing with him on stage was just like a little, happenstance thing. I was like, I'm playing, just come on, just scat a little bit. But apparently there was more that happened that night. So, I mean, there's a whole Stevie Wonder thing that they did beyond the one that he produced. I just, there's so much music, and there's no stopping. It's like...
Yeah, it's, I agree with you. I think obviously there is a ton of material left to be mined and to use. I guess the question is, I think the difference between the Michael thing is their estates are maybe in different places. I think Michael's estate probably maybe they don't need to do a celebration.
Did he have a will?
I believe he did, or I believe at least his business was in order where there's no question of who was going to be in control of his situation. Right. So, and you know what I mean? So there's a little difference where they're not...
But even with all the disarray that's going on with Prince, it's there still seems to be a little bit more semblance of order about the dissemination of that music.
Well, so the thing is, what I was trying to say is, I think in terms of the finances of Michael's estate, there's probably so much, they're not worried about tax money, or I believe the family got a huge $700 million thing a few years ago. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't need to do a lot of these things because their business is so tight. Whereas the Prince thing, and we've seen the reports recently, a lot of people are getting paid, but not necessarily the family, and it's still sort of tied up in, the valuation of how much it's actually worth, and you still got this other bank that's in charge. Sure. So there's so many other things going on where it's in their best interest to keep creating financial opportunities. I think, but what I was trying to say is that.
But how deep is that pool? I keep derailing you.
Well, no, but the thing is, like,
how deep is that pool of music that they have
music, but the problem is, can they sell it?
Michael Jackson family has as much music?
No, I'm not saying he does have music. I'm saying Prince has a lot of music. The question is, though, can they sell that music? Or do they know what they have? Do they know how to? Do you know what I mean? Because they have, to me and you, I'm ready to give them my wallet, but they may not know what I really want.
Well, they keep putting the wrong people in charge of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're so far away from the target thing right now.
This is a good conversation. But it's like who decides? Who's deciding what should come out? Right? Do they really know?
They keep putting the wrong people in charge of that, though. You can't put somebody who's business minded and not that you but the people that need to be involved in that are like somebody like Sheila E. Somebody who was actively involved in that process, not only was there during the creation of it and was involved with a lot of the creation of it, even all the way up until before his passing. Or, just the people that were just there. I mean, it was just so many people that it just seems... What's the guy's name? The gentleman that's Sheila E.'s manager right now, Gerald?
Gilbert Davis.
Gilbert Davison. Gilbert would be a great... he was there. How long has Gilbert been involved with Prince?
A very long time.
Very long time.
Yeah.
So you put somebody like one of these cats that knows the hierarchy and knows the succession of how this stuff got broken out, and they just keep putting. Purple Rain Deluxe was a prime example. There was people that were there that were making decisions to put songs on that album that shouldn't have been on there. Like We Can F was one of them. Because
you don't think that should have been on there?
No. I know.
We're done, ladies and gentlemen.
No. And here's why. I love it. I love that song. I love that song. But you got to understand. You have to understand something. Prince was in a very spiritual-minded place, and he was in a very, very, very different.
About like in present.
In his present time, before his passing.
Sure. Right.
And so, before his passing, he was in a very, very different place. And I don't think that out of all the material that he had to choose from that era, or from that section, that he would have said, you know what? I've already made a decision back during Rainbow Children that I'm never going to cuss from the stage again. Okay. I made spiritual decisions about my life that I'm going to be nothing but positivity. But you know what? For this release, I'm going to grab We Can Fuck and I'm going to put this on that CD. Okay. I can see where it is in the scheme of things if you're trying to be a completist of sorts and you're trying to say, I really want to do a good representation of what was happening during that time. I just don't think that song would have been one of the ones that he would have picked. Okay. I think consciously, from a conscious
sure.
and that's just me. And I'm not the only one that feels that way, but I can, because I was asking Dwayne Tudall about this when we were doing our interview. He said, I don't think it would have been either.
Well, I would agree with you on the way you broke that down. But then to me, you go down the road, if you're going to do that, then a lot of the stuff if that was true.
There's something else that he could have put in there.
Well, right, but I'm saying,
you look at everything that he did not release. You look at everything that he did not release. You've read Dwayne's book, right?
Yes.
You know all those songs, all those unreleased songs that were in that mix, all that pool of music that he could have choose from.
I agree with you.
Especially, and this is like a good, he may have written it during that time, but that wasn't even released. The We Can Funk wasn't released until Graffiti Bridge.
I'm not arguing that.
So you're not only doing that, you're also taking it out of the time frame too. You're taking it not the time frame that wasn't recorded, but the time frame that people know that when that song was released, which is many albums later. So there's a couple things going on.
I agree with you. But my point is to say, if I use your logic though, and go down that path, you wouldn't have the Target Center show because Prince wouldn't have been a part of that. And we kind of talked about that, right? Like, so there would be a lot of things that are probably going on right now that we wouldn't be doing if we was to use that logic. And Prince wasn't with this. Prince wasn't streaming. He ain't with YouTube. He probably wouldn't even be with the celebration if he wasn't here. Because they don't celebrate.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. If we do go down that route, then you have to go all the way down that route and half of this stuff.
And again, I'm not saying that the end result is a bad thing. I'm just bad thing for the fans. I'm just saying that from when you're looking at what decisions are being made about what's being released and what's being pushed out to the people and what form and how they're doing it. It just has to be done by somebody that was really part of that process, that knew what was going on in order to try to make it just a legitimate release.
It almost, I think, maybe needs to be a consortium of things because you would need, like you mentioned, Gilbert, and I would throw in like a Susan Rogers or different people.
Oh yeah, sure.
But I think you also would need the voice of the I say consumer, but the fan, so that what these are the people you want to actually pay for this, so you need to know what they actually want. And I think that's where a person like yourself or some of these other thought leaders in the Prince world can say, well, us as fans, this is our thoughts on that. So that they don't put out, so that you could make the argument that you made, right, about We Can Fuck or whatever. So it needs to be a consortium because they may just know it from being inside the camp.
Right.
And I was there when this was recorded and I know what songs go with who. But then the fans might be like, we've always been wanting to hear this project or whatever. So if you're going to put that song out, make sure it's this version because this is the one they've always sort of wanted. You know what I mean? So it just has to have a consortium so that, yes, we do the right thing. And I think that's the thing with Prince. It's like to be able to take all of his stuff and put it into context to know that, we can't just nilly-nally be grabbing songs from different periods and just put that out there. Nah, they got to go together,
But I think that's the same thing. I think there's got to be a continuity because people knew that, Purple Rain was released in '84, and was mostly recorded in '83. But most of them, for the lay people that know Purple Rain, knew that We Can Funk was not released until Graffiti Bridge. So I even think when you're in that mindset and you're listening to Purple Rain, and all of a sudden they kind of take you out of that time. If you're not knowledgeable, this was recorded during that time. You're thinking, why did they jump all the way out? Why did they jump so many albums ahead for the song?
I would say that's like, if you look at Dwayne's book or something, that's the beauty of, if you go back and say, well, that exposes the genius of Prince. He already had these thoughts way back then, even though we got it here. And I think that's the beauty of a special edition release just to show you, this dude was ahead of his game for himself. Right. So I think it would be, to me, but a completist, hardcore, if they had consulted, I would be like, actually, it looks like he had Raspberry Beret was actually been worked on back on this point, and it would blow people's mind. Why would you put Raspberry Beret on Purple Rain album or something, or Pop Life? But it was if you go and actually do your research, and we'll explain in the liner notes, he actually recorded that song back then. Right. So here's just a way of showing you, like, he was on some other shit. And you see that with, I don't know if you see it, but when I look at some of the the Sly releases, where they'll put out like all of his tracks that he was working on, and they're from different albums of the release stuff, but you can see the pieces of, this is when he was really working on that. Right. And again, it's so far removed from his heyday, which I was not around. And I guess I would be considered like one of those kids of today that may jump into Prince now. I jumped into Sly maybe 10, 20 years ago, but far removed from when he was hitting. Sure. But I heard the music here and there. I didn't know he did that song. He did that. Okay, I'm going to go buy the albums. I might buy them out of order, but then I'm all into it. And then, in the last couple of years, they put out these different releases, and they pull stuff from different places, but it's alternate tracks. And I didn't know different thing, but it's a history thing for me.
It's funny for me because it's a little bit opposite, because again, being born in '68 and being a child of the '70s, I already knew all those artists before I knew Prince. I mean, I knew Sly, I knew Earth, Wind and Fire, I knew Stevie Wonder, and so I listened to all those, and then Prince came along and obviously turned. And it's funny that the artists that Prince turned me onto, like, were like like Joni Mitchell and stuff like that. It's just like totally non-Prince related. So it was just kind of unusual to me that the artists that some of the stuff like digging deeper into the library of like Stevie Wonder was actually, for me, was because of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay. Because when they released Higher Ground, I was like, oh man, this is a jam, man, this is great. And it's like, and I was riding with a friend of mine who was playing a keyboard for a band. He goes, that's a good remake. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's Stevie Wonder's song. I was like, what now?
Are you saying then that's what Taylor Swift is doing?
What? How did Taylor Swift get into this?
Well, she just came out with the remake of September, right?
Oh yeah, no, I haven't heard that mix yet. Is it good? Listen. I have to.
No,
it's not good. I have to put myself. I wish you guys could have visually seen his face. I have to put myself in a bubble of sorts. Okay. When it comes to new music. I mean, there's some things like we were talking about when we were walking up here, that the internet is about to release a brand new album. So I like a lot of those bands like that, like Thundercat and just these cats that are just doing stuff, and Anderson .Paak and all these guys are just friggin' Erykah Badu and that whole Soulquarian thing. Oh my God, the Roots, and it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, the Taylor Swift thing, to be clear, I don't listen to her music, but it was such a headline news story a week ago. That's how I heard about it. But it's just the audacity of her.
Now I need to know. I've got to hear what that sounds like.
Well, I would say this: there's banjos.
What? Never mind. I'm not gonna. I'm not going out of my way to listen to that.
And it's just like there's certain things you can leave alone. Like, okay, if you leave Earth, Wind and Fire alone, or leave.
Just can't. Why would you redo it? Yeah, there's certain things like I never know why people redo certain songs unless you're gonna. I mean, there's certain songs that are just at that level. It's like, why would you do? It's like somebody redoing saying, I'm gonna redo Ohio Player's Sweet Sticky Thing. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you don't freaking touch that song.
I have heard somebody do it, and it was really good.
Well, it's just
D'Angelo.
Oh well, yeah. Well, obviously, but there's certain things you
But
hear
you're
just
right.
like no, you don't know.
You better
no.
be the shit.
All right. I'm gonna redo If I Was Your Girlfriend. No, you're not. No, you're not.
What?
Oh, you did it already? Okay. All right.
So this episode, we're going all over the place. So you guys getting intrigued. No, I'm just curious. So you brought that up. So you don't like the TLC?
Yes. Yes, I do actually like that.
Okay,
But
so
it was a little bit different though, but that also came with his blessings though too.
For
so
sure.
it was a little bit. So there was a little bit. I think his involvement in that was a little bit more than what they had.
You think so?
I think absolutely. Yeah, I think it was one of those Alexander Nevermind moments where he just. I think that there was some involvement with him for sure.
Interesting.
It feels that way. There's certain songs that have a feel to it. It's just like, yeah.
I'm gonna ride with that song, Dallas Austin, but I never know.
I know that, but I just can't. Yeah, it was pretty well done.
Ballsy move to take a signature. I don't even. I don't
even know if that wasn't
but
on
it
anybody's
is
radar.
such that extreme type of Prince type of song. Like you're gonna do that song over? Okay. I mean, they pulled off. It was decent.
Right. Well, yeah, and I just know that it's something like, again, just find like perfectly structured songs like Ballad of Dorothy Parker or and so some of these songs that's just like, why do you just don't even bother. Adore. Yeah. What? Don't even bother. It's just don't even bother.
You would have to be essentially the next type of, one in a lifetime artist to even.
Exactly.
In my opinion, to first have the balls to do it, but then to actually do it, and somebody would say,
I've heard some people out there who could probably kill it, but it's just like.
I'm gonna say something that may sound crazy. I was in Vegas during the 3121, and I went to go see the Prince
Experience.
No,
Purple Experience.
That may be what they do the Prince show.
Well, there's two main ones out there. There's Purple Rain.
Maybe it was them because they have the Morris Day thing with them too.
Right. Well, Purple Rain.
This was years ago, but I think that's what
the guy from Purple Rain is actually singing with the New Power Soul now.
Oh, that's right. Well, actually, I don't think he is with them, but you're right. Yeah. I think it might have been him, possibly. Well, I was gonna say
he was in Purple. He's
I was gonna say
freaking-tastic.
They did Adore.
Oh my God, I'm trying to remember
his name. That was the first time I heard Adore live, and I was like, this dude destroyed that song.
He did.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's very good. But and now I'm actually doing some work with MPG right now. Doing some graphic work for them. So, and I have like tons of pictures of him on my computer right now, trying to piece all this stuff together for them. It's. I think, man, I tell you, I gotta say, we can bring this all back around to the Target Center thing. I think that if it comes to your town, you can obviously, Michael didn't say this, but you said that they can email. Where you would email to would be info@officialpaisleypark.com. That's where you would send the request to have that Prince on the live stream brought to your town. And then I guess I don't know if they're going to be pooling answers or, I mean, it seems like they would have like some type of.
Yeah, I don't take that request serious. You can't really gauge. I mean, you have to go by the marketplace.
I would think.
And I'm sure they'd have to work with some kind of, bookers or something. But yeah, any major city, I would imagine you would consider. Vegas.
You guys say Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas.
L.A. Atlanta,
Detroit, or something like that. New York, you would go to.
You think it would work in Detroit? Yeah, maybe Detroit.
Well, I'm just saying because there's a huge Prince thing there. But I would say the bigger cities you would consider if it's an arena show.
Australia. There's some places. Yeah, take it around the world. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we were talking the celebration when I can't remember who was. I guess it was the guy from The Current came out and said, "Who's from out of town?" And everyone went crazy. Right. And he said, "Who's from out of the country?" And it was like majority of the people from out of the country. So that's powerful. Yeah. It's really powerful. Yeah. It came into like the middle of the United States, in April.
And Prince is not here. We always got to remember that, like,
he's not here.
Yeah,
there's nobody here. But you can just, it's if it comes to your town in 2019, you got to see it.
Oh yeah, and
I would say that was the end result. So where do you live?
I'm in Seattle.
So you're in Seattle.
So they would definitely.
So if this show came to Seattle, you'd go see it again?
Probably, and I know for Seattle they would sell out.
Right.
Yeah,
but you would consider seeing it again based on what you've already seen?
Oh, I would see it again, no doubt.
Yeah. So
but I'm the guy that if it was anything Prince, I'm gonna go.
Right, exactly. Do whatever you can to support it. Yeah, if it came to Atlanta, I'd probably see it too. So.
Yeah. No, I would go. Like I said, I thought it was great. I'm curious to see what they do with it, and I think whoever came up with that was a great idea. Now they said that Kirk was definitely spearheading getting that together.
Yeah, they said Kirk Johnson was a big part of pulling all that stuff together. So, and that's testament, because I know that dude's got a lot of stuff going on right now. So, a lot of stuff going on. So it's testament to his commitment to continuing on his legacy, man. So I've got nothing but mad love for the dude.
All right, whew.
Man,
we got into it today. This has been really good. Chris, where can they find you online, sir?
Funkatopia.com. Funkatopia. If you want to listen to the music, got the radio station. You can download the Funked Up app. Funkedup. You can also listen online. Just go to Funkatopia.com and click on Funk Radio. You can listen there. Right now, for the month of April, it's playing 24/7, all Prince, and there's no commercials. We got some bumpers, but there's no commercials. And then when it's not April, and they normally play, if you're listening to this outside of April, which is highly probable, we play Prince from 6 to 12 Eastern Standard Time, and that's both 6 to 12 to cater to both sides, to our international listeners and also our regular listeners. So 12 hours a day is all Prince on the radio station, and it's obviously the reason why we have the large Prince consortium that we do, but it's what people love, and people are apparently appreciating everything that's happening. So, man, come check it out.
All right, we will do that. And, of course, you can find us at podcastjuice.net. And also look us up on Facebook, Podcast Juice, and on Twitter at Podcast Juice. As I always say, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.